Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Hello and welcome back to Dave Mackey's Shiny Set Out. That's right, show number 562, 260, and 500, I think. It's the correct one. That's crazy.
We forgot that at the top of the hour, the first hour.
I know, it's all good. And we have just finished the first hour of news and current affairs in general, philosophical musings. The second hour, we go to a show topic. But before we do that, please do remember that this is listener-funded radio, meaning if you can, donate, spare some currency, please do. Better yet, tell your friends and family to listen to the station, because chances are that one of them can donate.
Do you know what?
Go on.
We've got these go to YouTube, so if you want, you can just, like and share, and do us a favor and like and share it. Share it with a friend of yours who is like-minded, and ask them for comments and say, look, these guys are on air, and you might find something interesting, or hey, look, listen to them rabbit on for a while. I don't care what you say. Do it, and let's get the message out that this station is an awesome place to come for great information.
Do it. Listen to my face, but hear him speak. But hear my face and listen to his ears. Do it.
Oh, his ears are painted on.
Do it. Now, I'm experiencing all kinds of wonderful things with my Microsoft Office subscription. Hurrah for me. Which means we don't have show notes. However, we will have them. And I think I can fix it all tonight. But,
when has that stopped us?
Well, never, obviously. But we are going to talk about religion. And what we're going to talk about is something that is the oldest form of religion. We'll have some more hard data in the next show, but I do want to talk about animism. Now, animism, we don't really know how far back it goes. We don't know. But we do believe that it represents the oldest form of a spiritual belief system, assigning meaning and power to the cosmos in many ways. So animism comes from the Latin word anima, which means, well, pretty much spirit.
Not anima. Don't mistake.
No, that's not the one.
I've actually got, Mickey, on the screen. I'm going to send you an image through our chat, and this is what you're talking to. I know you wouldn't. I know you actually know it, but just so the people who are watching this on YouTube can get a picture of what you mean.
Oh, here you go. Yeah, that's right. So animism. Now, I believe it is I do believe that it is the very first spiritual system that we had, and we still have it today. Now, what does it actually mean? It means that, the foundation is that everything has spirit. Everything has a soul, if you will. It has the ability to interact.
Because it's animated? Is that the origin of the word?
So they're both come from the same root, which is the Latin word anima, meaning spirit. So yes, that's correct. So it all has so everything has agency. Everything has agency, which means everything can interact with everything else. Now, that's a fairly abstract concept, but I will give you an example, a really, really simple example of what animism really means. So if you like Japanese manga or Japanese animation, funny animation, right? You might have come across a movie called Spirited Away. Okay.
Yes.
So in Spirited Away, the protagonist, the young little girl, whose name I forget, but she gives up her name, and her name in the movie becomes Zen. Hero. It doesn't matter. I think it was Hero. Anyway, but the point is, she's in the human world, right? In the human world, her parents and her are moving to new house. She's moving schools, and they're coming in this sort of taking a shortcut, I guess, through the woods, and there is these stone effigies or these stone little houses, I guess you could say, as well. And
Chihiro was her original name. Yeah.
That's right, Chihiro. And she asked them, "Oh, what's this, Mom?" "Oh, these are little spirit houses. People believe that spirits live in there, right? They're little stone houses, right?" And that's what the Japanese. The Japanese they still to this day, there's a lot of animists in Japan, believing in animism, and so these are spirit houses. And then she goes to this amusement park, and it turns out this amusement park is a portal, a gateway to another world.
Yes,
as it were, the spirit world. And so she's stuck there because her parents turned into pigs because they ate the spirit food, made pigs of themselves, and so on and so forth. And then this other being.
That's by day, isn't it? Or by night? By day, the pigs are there, and by night.
Oh no! So they go there by day, but she has to leave the spirit world before the sun goes down.
That's right. I knew there was something.
That's her deadline.
Yeah, I love this movie.
But she doesn't manage to, and she's stuck there, and she's starting to disappear until a master Haku comes and helps her. Again, a youngish man who takes a shining to her, you think, and he helps her. He gives her a piece of food to eat, and when she eats the food, she solidifies again, goes from see-through to normal. He says to her, "You have to eat some food from this world, or you will disappear," which is that she doesn't. She was all good. But the point is, the world that she has gotten into through this magical portal, in a way, I guess, right? Which is never really shown anywhere. She just goes to this building, and then she goes across a meadow, and then, there it is. It's the spirit world, and the spirits come from the human world to the bathhouse in the spirit world to replenish themselves. There's a turnip spirit, there's this potato spirit, there's all kinds of spirits. And it turns out that the Master Haku is in fact the spirit of a river in which the girl almost drowned, but the river saved her. The spirit of the river saved her, didn't let her drown. And he couldn't ever go back home, and he forgot his name because humans filled in the river, they concreted it shut. So he was stuck in the spirit world because his physical manifestation in our world was, destroyed, right? Yeah. But the point is this, right? So all of these creatures that inhabit this spirit world are the spirits of things or animals or plants, but the rivers, that's a thing, that inhabit the human world. But the spirits come to the spirit world to replenish themselves. So that is the simplest and most beautiful illustration of animism that I've ever come across.
I've got to say that this, how everything's connected, Mackie. Everything we've ever researched, it all has a connection together in some way.
Yes.
Did you know that there was a Mandela effect of Spirited Away?
I did not.
The alternate ending.
Go on.
All right. So, in Japan, there's an urban legend about the phantom ending in Spirited Away. Apparently, lots of people remember the extended ending where it shows the family arriving at their new home rather than the film ending when they drive through the tunnel.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was said to have never been ever made, ever, but everyone remembers it. The idea of this ending seems to have popped up in recent years as people have rewatched it and been surprised and confused about where the movie ends. Of course, there is no proof of the ending existing, and Miyazaki has denied ever making it.
Yeah. In this world, at least.
Well, in this evolution, yeah, that's right. You're right. So I just wanted to say that because it's crazy. Someone's actually recreated the end.
Wow!
Yeah, and everyone's gone. That's what it was.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. That is.
Yeah. What happened? Where did it go? Who made it? I think one of the things that my girls even love Spirited Away, and they introduced, my partner and I into this movie, going, "You've got to watch this." And when we watched it, it's become one of my favorites.
Yeah. Out of,
Yeah, crazy, right?
but I didn't know this Mandela effect. That's fascinating because I remember the ending where they just drive off.
Mm-hmm.
But clearly, it would make sense, and certainly for Miyazaki to have done this, potentially. Right? Now his son has got none of his artistic. Thank you. Has none of his artistic talent, and the movie he made is dreadful. And Miyazaki's coming back for one more to make it. But the point is, animism is the belief that everything is imbued with spirit, therefore is able to interact with everything else. Okay.
Yes.
So, in fact, a lot of native peoples, the elder races, if you will, they would see all living things as their brothers and sisters and having spirit, just like they do, not just human beings. See, Christians believe that only human beings have souls, right? That's a fairly narrow and fairly recent belief, fairly recent. But like I said, animism takes it further. Not just to living things like plants and animals have spirits. No, places have spirits. Rocks, tree. It's living rivers, bodies of water, anything in the world. Your book, like in for instance, in the movie Beauty and the Beast, the animation, where, of course, they're cursed people, but they're turned into clocks or candle holders or what have you.
Or the cup.
Or cups.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So everything has spirit. Now, of course, now if you look at our society and the way we treat, well, everything, not just inanimate things, but living things as well. If that were true, if everything had a soul or a spirit or an energy, we would be committing crimes beyond imagining by the way we treat. We are living in a throwaway society. There's no love anymore. And it's also said that the more connection something has, or the older it is, or maybe even the more someone or something cares for something or someone, the more spirit energy is generated. So you have these special places. I want to talk about ley lines for a second here, and the old, the dolmen, the stone circles. Most churches, old churches, most old temples, most old synagogues were built on ancient places of worship, on ancient places of power for a reason. There was an abundance of energy at that place, energy that had accumulated over time through rituals, practice, whatever it might be, and through people's connectedness with the place. You can never go home, they say. Now, I don't know if many of you have traveled far from your home, lived far from your home where you're born, where you spent your childhood. But for those of you that have, right, it's maybe you were born in a place, you lived there for many years, maybe 10, 15 years, maybe longer, and then you moved away, you went somewhere else. And then after a period of time, 5, 10, 20 years, you come back to the place that you used to call home, and you don't recognize it. It's just not that place, except maybe for a certain few places where you still feel a connection. Maybe there was this rock, or this stand of trees.
Yeah.
Or maybe, a special room or something like, I don't know, in your house, I mean, right? Maybe things like, but for the most part, the energetic connection that you used to have to the place is gone, except for those few special places that still resonate with you. Okay?
Yeah.
And that's what animism is. Okay? It is the connectedness of energies, okay, that are generated by everything and everyone all the time. And to be honest with you, I think it's one of the more sophisticated ways of looking at the world. Even though we call it primitive, we call animism, it's the first primitive religion, right? And everything else that comes after is sophisticated. In fact, 19th century Europeans believed that Christianity, in fact, Protestant Christianity, was the most sophisticated religion ever. I disagree. Looking at quantum physics. Here goes quantum physics again.
I like how you weave that in.
Right?
Yeah, go on.
If you look at quantum physics and, the way we seem to understand how some of this may function, having things pop up out of the quantum form, let's call it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Things just appear, pop, 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 and everything is energetically connected as well. I mean, if you look at entanglement, what is entanglement if not an energetic connection between two completely, distant objects, but they were entangled at some point?
Yeah.
And the connection remains. It is similar to places or objects that you or things or animals or people. There's this entanglement that we all experience, and in fact, scientists believe that our brain functions in 11 dimensions. Not only that, it functions on a quantum level.
Yeah, that's right.
Especially all the thoughts that you're having when you're not having any thoughts. Meaning, what's the best way to put this?
Description loading.
Description loading. Yeah, the subconscious, the ideas that are forming. You don't know where they come from, but there's an idea forming here. Pop, there it is.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even a brand new idea, right? Where does it come from? Well, I think it pops up out of the quantum form, and that, of course, links very, very strongly to the collective unconscious.
The Akashic record.
The Akashic records.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that Edgar Cayce talked about a lot. Not just Edgar Cayce, many other people.
I totally believe, through my experiences, that there is a place we're all connected to while we're awake, and through our research in this show, also when you sleep.
Yeah. And see, this is really the kicker, right? And I agree 100%. And all of this I've just described, from a quantum field to the Akashic record, which are pretty much, I think, one and the same.
Mm-hmm.
It speaks to interconnectedness, because I think this Akashic record, let's call it, for simplicity's sake, is completely timeless. It's not bound by time. It's meaningless. So all future and all past, all present activities, energies, things are recorded there to be accessed by anyone, anytime. And the complexity of that network, when you extend it into our world, is so immense that any interaction with it is usually dismissed as hocus pocus and nonsense, because it makes no sense. Like, again, one of the best examples we have in recent times is Edgar Cayce again, right? He only, and the thing is, people say, he was a charlatan, he was a fraud. Well, he didn't make any money from his gift. And he could only do it when he was in a trance state. So he wasn't awake. He was never awake for any of his readings. And he only could do the readings after he got really, really, really sick. So maybe the fever changed something in his brain chemistry. I don't know, right? But the point is, he didn't die a rich man. He didn't make money from it. Okay? He helped a lot of people, though. He did. Okay? And so if you say to me, oh, he was a fraud, well, to what end? If you're fraudulent, Dave, if you're perpetrating a hoax, right? Mm-hmm. This is my problem that I have with many of these dismissals. Why? What is in it for the hoaxer? I mean, if somebody's getting a profit from it, okay, I get it, right? Understood. Or some other kind of benefit, maybe notoriety, maybe in this case just fame. Maybe these days maybe it's just fame. Fame is enough.
Yeah, that's enough. Mm-hmm.
Right? These days. But if the person doesn't gain any benefit from it, in fact, the opposite, maybe derision and doubt, right? For helping people, by the way, then you have to ask yourself, well, no, I don't think so.
Even just by antagonizing the narrative is also another perfect motive that some people have. Armchair skeptics, just
of course,
for no reason whatsoever, will just say, no, I don't agree, and then commence an argument of biblical proportions.
Yeah, that's right. Or because all the expert opinions would agree on this, blah 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 blah. I'm reminded. I hate to bring it up again, but I'm reminded of Zahi Hawass not even knowing what Göbekli Tepe was.
Yeah.
The head
Mm-hmm.
of Egyptology
Yeah.
in Egypt, not understanding or not knowing what this momentous find is, which is really in the neighborhood. It's a hop, skip, and a jump into Eastern Turkey from Egypt.
That's right.
Right? Oh no, never heard of it. Is it? Have you heard of it? Is it a thing? Is it a thing? Yeah, actually said this in the video. Is it a thing?
Is it a thing?
Have you heard of it? Really? I mean, wow, just wow.
Mackie, I was in a technical meeting. Won't say who and where, but when I asked a question about the technical monitoring system that could detect flapping, because that's a technical term for something going in and out of a state constantly, like going to error state and getting back to okay, going to error state. There was a person who was meant to know who said, "What, is he making that up? Is that a thing? Is that a thing?" And was no longer involved in that project. Just saying, if you, in that case, if you don't know, shush, right? But astounding, Mackie, that someone who is meant to be a historian has only then proof fact here that they've only ever looked at their own material. They're so siloed that they can't and won't accept material that's outside of their realm.
Yeah. It's quite something. Yeah. It really is.
How? Well, it's not Egypt, is it? So why would I need to know
it? That's exactly it. It's willful. This is the worst kind of ignorance. It's willful ignorance. Yeah. If you don't know something, okay, well, that's cool. Are you willing to learn about it? Yes, you are. Okay. Yeah. Beautiful.
I've got all the time for that person that says yes.
Yeah, 100%. But sorry, just to hark back just for a second to animism. So to me, animism is a very complex belief system. Because you're taking into consideration pretty much everything. Okay, there's no ultimate redeemer. There's nobody here that you can, there are no rituals necessarily you can perform to absolve yourself of sin. I mean, completely unknown concept in animism. So I think it is a very sophisticated belief system. I really do. I look at the other belief systems that we are contending with today. We have got deities in charge, maybe just the one.
Or polytheism.
Yeah.
Polytheism, yeah.
Polytheism, yeah. Or you have certain commandments and certain rules to live by, etc. So to be honest with you, so animism, which is complex because you have to work out all the relationships and you have to, and you have to deal with everything and everybody.
It all has to be defined. That's right.
Yeah, in some way you have to do that, right? And shaman will help you, but ultimately you are part of the world, right? And you're within it, and within it you interact with all of these other spirited beings. Whereas, let's look at the Abrahamic religions just for a second. We don't have to do any of that. We've got one final arbiter, which is the one God, right? Be if you're Muslim or Jew or Christian, doesn't really matter. It's just the one God, and that one God takes care of everything for you. For me, so people might say, "Oh, this is very sophisticated." No, it's not. It's a dumbing down of a really complex spiritual environment. Okay, we've made it easier, okay, to believe, because we don't have to do terribly much and remember very much. And in fact, there's really nothing that prevents us from doing whatever we want, because we have the ultimate arbiter of our forgiveness. Our God will forgive us if we do certain things. That'll happen. I mean, what? Yes. If you follow the rules, or if you do certain things, or if Ave Marias and whatever, you will be forgiven your sins, whatever. In fact, if there's such a thing as that, you will be forgiven. And you go, what? Right. It's like a child's religion. Okay. I can see animism being born out of quantum physics. Okay, this makes no sense, and it seems like everything is connected. Okay, and it seems places have energy, and it seems there's certain effects that only take place here and there, and only if you look at it. And other things like inanimate objects are connected to each other. So 2 electrons, right? Are electrons sentient? Do they have spirit? Well, in animism they do. These 2 electrons have spirit.
Well, the double slit experiment says that they seem to be aware, if the system seems to be aware that we can see them.
Yeah, there seems to be a choice. Now,
That's right.
If choice doesn't define sentience, then I don't know what does. And so you see, as soon as you go down here, especially if you believe it's set in stone, you're walking down a slippery slope, because you go, oh no, that can't be right. Well, it is. This is actually what's happening in the world. Oh, there must be some other explanation. So the beliefs that we have these days, especially the monotheistic beliefs, but not just, but especially, I think they're children's religions. I really do. That they're children's stories. I mean, let me go a little further afield here. Dave and I discussed with you the original texts for the flood, and so forth, and all these things, right? We did, and the cuneiform tablets. Look, the translations are readily available. You can look at it yourself. It's all good. The stories told in those stone tablets or clay tablets were a lot more sophisticated and detailed than the stories that came down to us.
Oh yeah, I see your aspect now.
Right, in the Old Testament. So it was a lot more complex. It was a lot more detail rich, as it were. Right, and in fact, I want to say that has nothing to do with God whatsoever. I don't think that the Anunnaki were gods, and I don't think that the gods of the Bible, the Torah, or the Talmud, or the Quran are gods at all. My opinion. Okay, you can hate me for it. That's my opinion. I don't think they're gods at all. These are stories that people remember from powerful beings, otherworldly or not, doesn't really matter. That were here for a while and that did certain things, and we remember them, like the cow cults remember the Americans. Right? That's what happened here. Again, over time, the stories that started out rich and complex, and in detail, were dumbed down. In fact, to the point where it didn't really make much sense anymore. Right? Because in the Bible itself, it's contradictory. Oh, God created us as man and woman. No. In another account, it says, no, he created Adam, and then out of Adam's rib, he made Eve. No. What? Which one is it? Which one? Anyway, that's just one of the few things that I have an issue with. And you can't sensibly argue with anyone about this either, because it's an article of faith. Either you believe it or you don't. Okay. But this is where we've all gone wrong, terribly wrong. This is why we're talking about religion. We're forcing our children into these belief systems, right? And then once they're in there, well, that's where they stay normally. Not always, but for the most part, that's where they stay, because that's what they know, and it makes sense to them, or at least it made sense to their parents, and that these are the stories they know, and that they're on firm ground, Dave.
Yeah.
They're oh. No, I know. I know this. I know what I have to do next. I know all the songs. I know all the prayers. I'm good. I'm going to Catholic church, and
I sang them proudly, Mickey. That's
so you should.
God loves me now.
Very much, very much.
Yeah.
And I can't look. I know the prayers because I learned when I was a child. I don't know the songs, but I don't pray there. I don't sing there. I'll stand up with everybody, and then I'll sit down with everybody, because it doesn't hurt me doing that. But you can see it. I mean, you have to get them when they're young. That's the catch cry. I mean, Hitler knew this. Stalin knew this. You have to get the children when they're young, when they're impressionable. That's when you need them to be indoctrinated.
So
good.
Yes. Sadly, I'm under the belief, it's my belief only, that children should be exempt from all religion until they're of an age where they can make an educated choice about which religion they would choose, if they would choose a religion or not.
I agree with a caveat.
What's the caveat?
So I agree with that. However, if we do that, and I'm for it, then we must have classes that teach ethics,
yes,
philosophy, and morality.
Mm-hmm.
We must have that. You can't have the children go into a vacuum, because that's the one
true.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that religion does well, and I have to say that it's true. It's true. It gives you a compass. It doesn't matter what religion is, but there's your compass.
A moral compass, yeah.
Yeah. This is right. This is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Off you go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this there you go. So that instruction is critical for children to understand, especially if you live in a society, right? To understand ethics, to understand empathy, to understand philosophy, to understand morality, right? And morality and ethics, believe it or not, they shift from society to society. In fact,
That's
today
true.
We're living in a world that has many different sets of ethics and many different sets of morality, right? You might not notice, but it's a fact. I mean, there's people today that would have been executed for whatever, based on religion, right? On the interpretation of a book that would have said, "Oh, you did this wrong, therefore you're going to be executed." Right? In other places, you will find people not being able to use prophylactics.
There's
correct. another religion that says, "No, this is wrong. You cannot do that. This is wrong." But at the same time, you might have contracted the disease. Another place yet might be someone who has to carry to term, even though it's detrimental to their health.
That's right.
I don't know. Right? These are not easy answers or easy questions. These are all hard things, right?
Yeah, I thought that laws and not social justice, but the morals that we've built up because of the laws themselves, which are things that you can and can't do in society. I truly did believe that was something that would then guide people to make the right decisions. But I was wrong.
Yeah, unfortunately. Very wrong.
Because you would imagine if the laws are there, that people wouldn't be breaking the laws, but people break the laws all the time.
Yes. That is correct.
Are they doing the same with these religious morals? If they happen to be a religious person? I believe so.
Yes, but that's okay. I tell you why it's okay.
Because it's my agreement with God.
Yeah, but not only that, you always have a recourse. If you confess, let's talk about Christianity for a second, right?
Sure.
If you confess, right, you say you're truly sorry and whatever, and you go to do your confession, or Catholicism more specifically, really, then that's okay. I absolve you. We'll say the guy.
Say 3 Hail Marys and...
Yeah, off you go.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah, sin no more. Off you go. And it was actually so bad, since we're on the topic, in the Middle Ages, that Martin Luther was so upset with the church. There was only the one church. It wasn't Catholic or Protestant. It was just the one church when he was around, the 16th century. He was so upset that he put together a whole bunch of theses, which he nailed to the cathedral in Worms at the door. I just nailed this. I don't remember 50 or what. There are a lot of points he put there. But the one thing that drove him over the edge was, it was called a sin letter in German, an Erlassungsbrief, sort of an absolution kind of letter. So essentially what it was is, you could buy absolution. You could buy forgiveness. That's it. So, whatever the price was. And what people did, they didn't just do it after the fact. They bought absolution before they committed a crime. So I'm going to murder someone tomorrow. So I'm going to go to this traveling priest or whatever. I'm going to get myself a letter of absolution, and I'll be okay. Right? Now, of course, that kind of business depends on whether or not people believe in God or not. And back in those days, they very firmly did. But because the church has forgiven me, this is the power of the church back then. Think about that for a second. The church has forgiven me, so I'm okay with God. I paid my 10 gold pieces, whatever it is, right? Here's my letter. I can now, chop your head off, and I'm okay with God. I'm right with God. Thank you very much. And that's something that Martin Luther really didn't like very much, which of course then led to the Protestant movement and to the first schism, the first split in the church. which then led, to northern Germany becoming largely Protestant and southern Germany largely Catholic, and then it just went from there. And then you had the split in England, not long after, because the king couldn't divorce. Well, I do what I like. Thank you very much. And on and on it went. So you had the Anglican Church. They had also a Protestant movement, if you will, because they were protesting the limiting power of the church, or at least the king was. So, I mean, this is religion taken to the bad extreme, to the worst extreme. Where you sell forgiveness. Doesn't matter what the crime is, right? If you're truly sorry, I mean, that's always the caveat. If you're truly sorry, then you're forgiven. And I'm not saying it doesn't happen at all. I'm not saying that, but the point really is that we don't really understand how it all started, and hence the show, or how it all went, because it gets a bit murky, right? So animism made perfect sense, but then I believe, something happened when we started building cities, okay? Maybe even slightly before that, with agriculture, where we needed firmer sets of rules and where we couldn't treat nature like an equal anymore. We needed to look at nature as a resource pool. Okay? And we need to become desensitized to it. We need to exploit nature. It became necessary for us to be not the custodians. No, that's what the Aboriginals do. We became the stewards in some way, but the steward in the sense of utilizing the land and the animals and other things, and digging it up. In fact, a lot of native peoples have an aversion to digging up metal.
Really?
A lot of native people say we shouldn't disturb the earth. We should not dig. Don't dig. Don't do it. Okay, for whatever reason. I mean, look, if we are saying that everything has spirit, then a positive coal would have a fairly large spirit. And oil would have like a bubble of oil on the ground would have a fairly large spirit. And so on.
Yeah. Okay, well that makes sense.
I'm just saying, right? There's this certain taboos even that exist as well in certain cultures around activities. But what happened? So the cities came about, right? And then we needed firmer rules, and we needed to take. That's it. We needed to take dominion of the world. We needed to be the lords, and dominion comes from the word dominus, which means master in Latin. So we had to become masters of the world. This is our dominion, and we take ownership of it, and we do with it as we wish, right? And if you look at it, wherever we went, Europeans, that is, we took our religion and we supplanted the native religion quite aggressively, right? And not in very few places was there a monotheistic religion. There was a lot of animism in certainly South America and in Africa as well. Right? There were other belief systems as well, but our new religions, what they do? They encourage conflict. In animism, there is no conflict because there's no real belief system. Do you know what I mean? Everything has spirit. You've got to come to terms with that, and you've got to somehow figure out how to live in that world. That's your job. But in the religions that come after, you're defining very clearly what it is that you are against someone who is not that, for example. And all of a sudden, you've got conflict. I'm not saying there was no conflict in animism. People are people. But, it wasn't really religion-based because we're living in a world of spirit, right? Interconnected. Not anymore. Not anymore. We are using religion as a divider, as a tool for conquest, right? I mean, think about this. In the was it the 7th? No, it was the 6th. I think the 15th and 16th century, the auto da fe in Spain, the Inquisition. If you were Jewish, specifically Jewish, or any other religion, but specifically Jewish, if you took and said, yes, I will become Christian, then you could go free. So if you renounce your Jewish belief, that's all good. If you didn't, they would torture you. And in the end, you probably would renounce it anyway, because, I mean, if you're under torture, you do whatever they say. But that's what, that's insane if you think about it for a second. I will have you believe what I believe, because that's my mission from God. No. Like, first of all, God never gave you that mission in the first place. But secondly, what's the difference? So this person is going to say whatever, but unless they believe it in their heart of hearts, and that's really one of the tenets of Christianity, or any religion, unless you believe it in your heart of hearts, it's not real. So it's pointless. People can say everything. They can say all kinds of things all day long. It doesn't matter, right? But yet, these people felt compelled to exercise their power and subjugate other people using religion as a tool. Right? Very, very, very sinister, in my opinion. Okay. And I think ultimately doomed to failure. But animism has survived very well into the common era that we inhabit now, and then we understand it, and we can see the sophistication of it again today. we get it. In fact, the Aboriginal Dreamtime, or not Dreamtime, what's the other term? It doesn't matter. Is that reality of timelessness, interconnectedness? So the Dreamtime is not some place in the past that happened and then, our golden age, blah, blah, blah. No. The Dreamtime it's now. We just can't get there. Most of us, we can't.
Yeah. But it's also animism.
Well, yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because everything is spirit. Everything ultimately is spirit and timeless and connected.
Yeah.
Right? And something that is, even for you and I, Dave, something that is such an alien concept that we would be lost at first, I think, if we ever went there. Because we've got such strong egos, and we've been taught to have strong egos and look at the world from our point of view only, really. Right? I'm cogito ergo sum, which is an abbreviation of what he said, but he said, I think, therefore I am. Again, that's not what he said in totality, but it's the gist of it. Really? It's all about you being something, is it? Or me being something. Right? It's the self-centered, not inclusive but exclusive.
So the Force from Star Wars,
yes,
is also in everything.
It's the same principle.
Yeah, it is.
100%. Absolutely. Right? Which, again, maybe it resonated with people. Maybe that's what's, maybe that's why it was such a success. I don't know. But in science fiction, we usually look at things because we've got the liberty to do so, and we represent things in a way that we would like them to be. You know what I mean? Star Trek is the same. Star Wars is the same, but we would like, this is the reality I would like to live in. You say, if you're a science fiction writer, maybe if it's a utopian, a positive utopian rather than a dystopian.
Dystopian, yeah.
Yeah, if it's a dystopian view, you probably don't want to live there. That's not a good thing. Like 1984, probably not. But if you had the power to make it better, what would you do to make it better? I mean, what would be your vision? Right? How would you change the world if you had the power to turn it into something wonderful? What would that world look like? You ask a child, chocolate, everything will be chocolate. Really? You'd be half an hour and it won't be. Trust me, because you'd be sick of it. But
that's right.
But again, it's beautiful, child's view. But I mean, as you get older, you tend to become more confused and sophisticated at the same time, and a world made of chocolate is no longer that appealing. But what would the world look like if you had the power? I mean, we live in the world that we live in, and there's nothing we can do about it, at least for now. But But what would the world look like if you could design it? If you could say, hey, let's do it this way, or let's no longer do that, or or whatever. It's a terrible joke that I heard in the movie. What was it? This Boondock Saints. The Boondock Saints. Right? Two brothers and their friend, trying to clean up crime in Boston or whatever. And this is one joke. And it is there's an African American, a Jewish man, and then I guess some kind of American Caucasian person. And God appears before them. Okay. And you all have a wish. You can all have anything you want. So the African American goes, I would like all my brothers and sisters to be back in the homeland, happy and peaceful, and free of persecution. God goes, bang, done. Right? And the Jewish person says the same thing. I think it might have been a different racial, might have been a Spanish person, I can't remember. And the same thing happens, all in the homeland, all peaceful and happy. And then then God turns to the Anglo-Saxon guy, right? Well, what do you like? So hang on, all the African Americans, all the Jewish people there, all gone. Yes, I'll have a Coke, thanks. So do you understand how we have built ourselves into an exclusive world, even in our jokes, right? Where we cannot see each other in the same light. And we are happy for people to disappear from our lives. So for that person that I just described in the joke, his ideal world was lily white, right? And that's the danger, Dave, when it comes to these thought experiments. Because what would that, we don't know what anyone's perfect world would look like. I'm pretty sure what Hitler's perfect world would look like, right? Or Stalin, for that matter. But this is a real danger. And so I think we have no choice, but if it ever came down to it, we have no choice but to ask the children what the world should be like. And hopefully it won't be chocolate, but because they're innocent enough, they haven't learned the hate yet. They haven't begun to think of us and them. Young children, admittedly. Do you know what I mean? It is such a dangerous thing to give someone older the power to choose an ideal world, because you don't know what they hate, you don't know what they love. Chances are that their view is going to be pretty skewed one way or another, right? Because that's just the way our society works. It makes us into these machines. And in order not to overthrow the machine, we have to be given enemies that we can focus on. There's this great meme table. On the left-hand side is a worker, like a cartoon of a worker. On the right-hand side is a cartoon of an immigrant. And there's sort of, between them sits this caricature of a rich businessman with a top hat, etc., etc. In front of the top hat man is a mountain of gold. In front of the immigrant is nothing. In front of the workers, a couple of pieces of gold. And the industrialist, the monocle man, the monopoly man, says to the worker, "Hey, this immigrant wants your gold." Right? Again, that's exactly where we are. The few have it all. Some have a little, and a lot have nothing. But they have managed to put the people that have a little against the people that have nothing. Okay? And that's the world we're in right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I completely understand.
Disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
So many levels. On so many levels.
So, Mickey, we got 7 minutes. So, the question you raised earlier about how would you make it a better world, I think the change control from this one to whatever world you created would be the most complicated, lengthy, I say arduous, are these all words that come to mind?
Yes.
Process in order to make that as smooth as possible, unless you had a major event that enabled you to recreate what we have into this new world.
Correct.
That is one of the things that I've always contemplated.
Yeah.
Is
And you're correct.
How could you even make the changes? And
No. Yeah, you're right.
yeah. And that's I suppose in any way that I think about it, that it keeps boiling down to you need a major event, a global event that affected the entire population of the planet, in order to then unify them into one way of doing everything.
Yes.
One set of laws, one set of governance, all under the same guise of whatever you created.
Yes.
In order for us to be a one nation planet.
Yes.
And that would be the only way that it could survive.
Who would ensure that, though? That's the question.
Yeah, I know, right? So whatever the shape of this new world was, it would have to satisfy all of the stakeholders.
Yes. Yes.
Now, if you were clinging by a thread because of either a natural disaster, some kind of calamity, a global impact of something, it doesn't have to be a meteor, but something, whatever impacts everybody on the planet. You could exit World War III into a brand new world, if there was such a thing.
Yeah.
All the survivors, whoever survived, clump them together, get them into one place and start anew. They're the only things that I can imagine would be this new way of doing it, a way of being able to adjust. I fail to think of any other successful method of doing it and getting us across the line, because people won't give up, and this ties it back to the religion topic. They won't want to give up their religion of choice.
In fact, that would be one of the last things, because the thing is this, right? People have bought into it, hook, line, and sinker, and that's okay, because I could be wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's afterlife insurance. It's afterlife insurance, and that means that you have no idea if you need it or not. But if you don't have it and you need it, you're pretty much done. So what happens? People will defend it because that's all they know, and that's been handed down from their ancestors to them. They just don't know any better, and they will fight. And, during the communist era, the Russian Orthodox Church was never stronger than under the Soviet regime, which completely forbid it. So the Russians wanted to do, the Soviets wanted to do away with all religion, right? And the people go, no, this is what I believe. And the Russian Orthodox Church was never stronger than under the Soviet rule, because people flocked to it. For the people, it was comfort and shelter, right? In times of physical oppression, the afterlife seemed very appealing. Right? So whenever you do that, you will achieve the opposite. The only way you can let go of it is through understanding and discourse and education. Do we need it? Is it true? Which parts of it do you think are true? Can we prove it? Is there any way to prove it? There's not. How do we know that yours is right and theirs is wrong? Because I look at the map here that they've sent through, and it's probably showing on the YouTube video as well, the evolutionary tree of myth and religion.
Mm-hmm.
There's scores of major religions. Scores. Who is right? Somebody has to be wrong for somebody to be right.
That's right.
In fact, I'd say the majority would have to be wrong, because they're so different from each other.
Mm-hmm.
So who's right? Who's wrong? Right? Is it not much more likely, purely mathematically speaking, looking at this, that we're all wrong?
Correct.
Right? When it comes to very specific things, there's nothing wrong with spirituality at all. I think it's necessary for the humans to exist, to have a spiritual belief system.
1 minute.
Absolutely. Yeah. But should you be dogmatic about it? Should you kill others for your belief system? Should you beat your children into it? I want to say no.
No. So look, there's 1 minute left, and I want to say that this is a really interesting topic, and I look forward to being able to expand this more, especially when we get some show notes coming through.
Yeah.
And look, I hope that as listeners you've found something important here, and we're not poo-pooing any religion at all. We accept that they all exist. But what we're suggesting is if there was a new place, another direction to go, what would that be? Hey, look, there's the music. This is the end of show number 562 from memory. Coming up next is Jer Bear with his awesome show, After Hours. Listen in, put it on, and share this video with other people. All right. Take care, and we'll see you midweek for Plato's Cave, Tuesday and Thursday mornings. And again, we'll return next week. Take care, everyone.